Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video we are finally getting to cover the Headhunter buffs, man. Yes, they have implemented the buffs for the belt, and the question on everyone's mind is, are the annoying downsides for the belt fixed, and just how powerful is this new version of Headhunter? Well, we're going to be covering all of that in this video, and you're going to have a good idea of whether you want to strap this thing on right after watching. But first, if you're enjoying the Grim content and you want to see more, make sure if you're not already to subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoy this video specifically, chuck it a like after watching. It would seriously help me out. Alright, without further ado, let's get into it. So the first question to answer is, what are the issues and are they fixed? So in my previous video, I mainly focused on the big downsides that the Archnemesis mods were bringing to Headhunter and how they were making the belt feel way worse. Are they fixed? No, they are not fixed. There is still very frustrating modifiers in the Archnemesis pool, which you can steal, and in fact, with the changes, are actually even more annoying. So those are all still there. You're still going to have Echoist, you're still going to have Shroudwalker, and you're still going to have the Ice Cage. Those are all there, and they're not going away. They are apparently part of the Headhunter design, and Mark at GGG, who designed Headhunter, is fine with it. He wants them to stay. So while those are all there, while they are incredibly annoying and incredibly frustrating, we're not getting any changes on those. However, we did get some changes to the actual power level and the consistency of the belt overall, which, if you are okay with those annoying parts of the belt, you can take advantage of. So let's get into those. All right, so what are the changes? What's on the table here, and how is the belt going to do? First up, they have increased the duration of all Headhunter buffs from 20 seconds to 60 seconds. So that's a threefold increase. They now last a full minute as soon as you acquire them. Incredibly powerful, not too bad if you ask me. In addition to that, they've also made it when you steal an Archnemesis modifier you already have as a buff, it will now refresh the duration of that. So for example, if you have an assassin buff which is about to run out and then you kill another assassin mod previously, it would just ignore it and you would still have that assassin mod and it would just time out and you would lose the buff and it wouldn't be very good. Now it refreshes it. So this is essentially going to boost the consistency of the belt. This was a big issue with the belt before this patch. You would pretty much hover around anywhere between, like 10 to 20 buffs in a Legion kind of style content and 20 to 30 buffs in like beyond juicing, which was not that ideal when you used to have like close to like 60 plus buffs overall. It's true, a lot of the Archnemesis mods are blank. It's true that some of them are incredibly powerful, and that's what created that annoying issue. Sometimes you had the insanely good ones and you're like, oh man, it's like before. And sometimes all you saw was the trash ones. Well, with this refreshing system and with this increased duration, when you steal that good one, you're going to have it for 3 times as long now, and it's not going to feel as inconsistent, and it'll give you enough time to hopefully get to another monster and snowball your way into maintaining that buff. Stuff like Soul Eater, stuff like Assassin, stuff like all the physics extra damage buffs, you might be able to have them up more consistently now, which is definitely a massive buff. It was always an issue with the consistency, and they have tried to address that here, and I'm happy to see it. Now, furthermore, on that note of consistency, they have actually talked about something which I had no idea even existed. I don't think anyone knew. But there was actually a system in the game where maps could only have a set amount of Archnemesis mods loaded in them. So you would get like, what, 20, 30, 40 of the Archnemesis mods out of the pool of 65. And in some cases, it seems like even less than that. And you wouldn't get a wide variety. You wouldn't get the full suite. You wouldn't have the opportunity to gain all 65 Headhunter buffs in the one map. And this is now changed. You can now load more Archnemesis mods, which essentially, when it boils down to it, means you're going to get a larger variety of buffs. Again, boosting the consistency of the belt. Yes, exactly what we need. All right, so with these changes, what is the resulting outcome? So of course, we still have the bad mods in there. We still have the annoying mods in there, but you are gonna have the good mods a very much higher percentage of the time. Combining this with the Atlas passive node, which gives you an additional rare monster modifier on all rares, Valley of Darkness, you could, in theory, and do essentially achieve anywhere between 30 up to 50 of the Headhunter buffs now in a reasonably juiced map. That is the reality of it, and that is how things are going down, meaning you get the large majority of the best buffs in the Archnemesis pool. So you basically have, if you go down the list, I'll link it in the description here, you can take a look at the mods. They're pretty crazy, some of them. You'll get all of the good ones, pretty much, most of the good ones, because they're really common. Stuff like Flame Weaver, Frost Weaver, and Lightning Weaver, stuff like that. Those give you 50% of fizz as extra elements. That's pretty crazy. There's also other ones which give you additional fizz as extra elements, and you will be able to get those very consistently now and maintain them throughout the map because they actually refresh. So overall, Headhunter is now more consistent, and you are going to have the majority of Archnemesis mods on you at most times throughout maps. And this basically creates a scenario in which you will have a more powerful character than you used to have previously with a Headhunter in patch 3.17. Due to the fact that a lot of these modifiers, while they are binary and incredibly powerful, can give you incredible damage profiles for specific characters and, more importantly, incredible defensive profiles. Many of these are just like stuff like immunity to stun, 100% spell suppression, block, like 50% block and spell block. It's pretty crazy, man. So overall, the outcome of this change is that you will now consistently have a belt which in juice maps will actually give you much more defense, significantly more defense than the old Headhunter, and on the same level, if not exceeding the offense that you used to get from the old Headhunter. It will be in different ways. You won't get a bajillion projectiles, you won't get insane crit multi, but you will get massive amounts of physical damage as extra elements. You will get 100% critical strike chance and things along these lines. It's just a bit different. You need to tailor your character around the belt to make sure you take advantage of these. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second here. But overall, is the belt stronger now? In my opinion, yes. Why? Because it is more consistent and it is both giving you defenses as well as offenses. All right, let me just talk a little bit about what's not better though. So obviously the quality of life is down, but also the speed, the clear speed factor of Headhunter is gone. You are not getting any movement speed based stuff, and you're getting things that hinder your movement speed like Echoist and the Ice Cage. So overall, it is definitely not a clear speed beast anymore. However, it is a tank and a stat, like overall juicing monster now. So if you're trying to do 100% deli, if you're trying to do deli mirrors or anything like that, this is the belt for you. However, if you're trying to speed clear Alkengro maps, it's definitely not the belt for you. Mageblood is absolutely smashing it out of the park in that respect. So that is the distinction between the belt now. It is very firmly a cheat code belt for juiced content. That is what it's for, and that is definitely what it's got its identity backed as. All right, so we need to talk a little bit about what builds would want to use the belt though, because it's not actually like a blanket overpowered solution to everything like it used to be. It's very much got an identity as a belt which favors physical based builds. If you go into the description and you check out the mod list, you'll notice that every single one of those damage multipliers mostly amplifies physical damage. Some of them will work with elementals, some of them are generic damage increases, but the big damage multipliers, the more damage multipliers are all fizz as extra elements, which is why you're going to want to use this on a fizz-based build. In addition to that, there's also a ton of projectile scaling. So if you're pulling a bow build, well, you're going to get a whole lot more from Headhunter than, for example, a Blade Vortex build. Blade Vortex will get some increased AoE, which is pretty damn nice, but the bow builds get like 6 additional projectiles and they get +2 chains. That is crazy, absolutely crazy. And overall, that's going to make the belt better for some builds than others. So I would go in there, and what I would do is I would take a look at all the Archnemesis modifiers, and I would see which ones really jump out as being insane for your build. And if it's not at least half of them, or even a third of them, which are insane, I wouldn't use the belt. But if it's half or more, you could certainly consider using it, and it's going to be an absolutely monstrous belt for you now. Because the mods that you see there, you can basically say that they're permanently on you as long as you're doing juice content. In addition to that, I do want to talk about one mod in particular, and that is Soul Eater. As I mentioned, you're going to get a lot of the more common, rare modifiers permanently for the most part. You're seeing that in the footage in the background here, I imagine. Now, overall, with Soul Eater, you are going to have that on all the time, and that essentially is going to cap your attack speed to the tick rate of the game. That's just basically what Soul Eater does, and that is absolutely absurd. It gives you so much ridiculous damage. It gives you just so much just juice. It is crazy. Now, the way it's going to work is you're going to gain Soul Eater, you're going to accumulate Soul Eater charges, and then when you go for the refresh and get Soul Eater again, it will reset the charges. However, you will be able to build it back up again. So it's kind of like Headhunter is now Soul Thirst with extra benefits as well on top of that, and it's going to turn you basically into a hardcore character with the amount of defenses it gives you. It's Pretty damn crazy, man. So I've sung the praises, but I also want to warn everyone. So it is definitely not a belt for every build, and it definitely does have all of the annoying, echoist, ice cage stuff that's still going on. So you're gonna want to make sure that you watch out for that, and you're gonna want to make sure that you look at those modifiers and you see, is this belt actually good for my build? Because you're gonna want to be playing a very specific character for taking advantage of this new buff and having the juice actually flow from the Headhunter. Overall, hopefully you guys are excited for the new Headhunter buffs. It's certainly worth using. I picked one up myself today, and I'm planning on using it on the bow build that I'm going to make. So overall, I'm excited. Hopefully you guys are excited. They seem to have fixed it. Not completely, but it's definitely in a pretty good place now, and it definitely has reclaimed its throne as the juicing belt of choice. Until next time, cheers.